theyeshiva.net.
Yud Beis Amud Aleph, the line starts Kotoyi Sholosh Shoyes Chaser Mashu, midway down the Amud. You see? The end of the line. Tnan Hoye Boitkin Oise B'Shevach Kiris. Zog the Gemarah. Tnan, we learned the Mishnah. Which Mishnah is this? This is the same Mishnah that we have been exploring. Masechah Sanhedrin, Daf Mem Amud Aleph, the opening of the 5th chapter of Masechta Sanhedrin, where we learned the argument between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir about testimony. The Mishnah said that if two witnesses come and one says the 2nd day of the month he saw this event, and the second witness says he saw it on the 3rd day, it's valid. But if it's day 2, if it's day 3 and day 5, it's invalid. With hours, if somebody said the 2nd hour he saw the event, and the other person says it happened the 3rd hour, when they're examined independently, so then the Adis is valid. But if he says the 2nd hour, the 3rd hour, and the other 8 says the 5th hour, then Reb Meir says the Adis is invalid, it's bottled. Rabbi Yehuda argued and said even 3rd hour and 5th hour, the two witnesses say these hours and there's a discrepancy between 3 and 5, the Adis is still upheld, unless one says the 5th hour and one says the 7th hour, and then it's not upheld. Why? Because here there's no room for error, because of the drastic difference in the position of the sun in the morning and in the afternoon from the east to the west. That Mishnah begins, that same Mishnah, it's a very long Mishnah, begins with a whole other discussion about how we investigate Adis, and that's the beginning of the Mishnah we're going to be discussing now. Tonight we learned a Mishnah. What we're going to be learning now is something that's fundamental to this discussion, which is how they used to cross-examine a witness. The most important thing, of course, is to authenticate the testimony of the witnesses. So the Mishnah says, "Hayu boitkin oisai, hayu boitkin oisan." The guy Sabach makes a correction here, so we're going to use this correction. A groisen dank. Everybody take one chumash, please. We're going to open it in a few moments. Hayu boitkin oisan b'shevach chiris. They used to examine the witnesses with 7 chiris. 7 chiris means 7 standard questions that the court was obligated to ask both of the witnesses when it came to capital crimes. In other words, whenever it came to a type of a crime which could warrant potentially a death penalty, and the witnesses would come to testify, there were 7 chiros.
Separate. Each one separate.
Of course, each witness had to be examined and scrutinized separately, because the point was you wanted to see what each one says independently without the other person, and then you would match up the two. If I'm standing with you, I wait to hear what you answer, and then I answer, it's not going to work. So they had to obviously be separate. And the first investigation was Shevach Kiris. 7 standard questions. In order, these questions all had the same objective.
How many people would be present in the investigating committee?
If it was a capital case, how many? You had to have minimum 23. A Bezdin of 23. Yeah. A Bezdin of 23. That was a Bezdin that you had to have for din in a Parshas, because of the seriousness of the issue. Of course, there were situations you had the big Sanhedrin, which was 71. But you have to have this 23. Where other issues you can have 3,
I think they even have backup people like the
yeah.
and then the Talmidim and the Talmidim.
So the objective of these 7 questions is to identify.
I think in the U.S. court system we also have.
Yeah. That to identify the time and the space, the time and the location of the story. That was the issue. The truth is, halachically, you had to do this for monetary issues as well. Not only capital, I said capital issues, but even monetary issues. These same seven. However, by Dinei Mominus, the rabbis mitigated it because of, they mitigated a lot of these halachas simply because of for the benefit of the community, people should be able to feel comfortable that they'll borrow money and they'll be able to get it back. So they didn't put through the witnesses they didn't put them through the grueling experience.
It was too easy to throw out the case.
Right. By din and nefashos, it was so grueling that, as the Chazal say in Sanhedrin, right, Sanhedrin that killed somebody once in 70 years, they had bad names for them. Now that's how sensitive they were to take somebody's life. What were the questions? First question, fascinating. Ezer Shavua. Now, Ezer Shavua doesn't mean which week. Ezer Shavua means which cycle of Shemitah. Shavua here means a week. A week is a unit of 7. Here we mean which unit of 7 years within the Jubilee.
Figured out that pretty much everybody in this room was ready to disqualify it.
Be'ezer Shavua, right? Which cycle of Shemitah within the Yovel did this happen? Yovel is Jubilee. Within a Yovel, there's 7 units of Shemitah, because 7 times 7 is 49. The Pasuk says in Bahar, you should count 7 units of 7 years. Each 7th year is a Shemitah sabbatical year. And at the end, you have 49 years, which is the last Shemitah, and then you have the 50th year, which is Jubilee. So the first question is, Ezer Shavua. Which Shemitah is it? It could be the first cycle of Shemitah. It could be the second cycle. It could be the last cycle of Shemitah, the 7th cycle of Shemitah, right before Yovel. That's number 1.
So not which year.
No. Next, Be'ezer Shana. Now, which year within the Shemitah? So let's say I say it's the 3rd cycle of Shemitah, right? Let's say within a Yovel you have 7 units of Shemitah. That's what a Shavua means.
We didn't do that. We didn't figure out that.
No.
Okay. That's a tough one.
Within that itself, there's 7 years, there's 7 units. So I know which unit, but which year in that unit, right? Which year in that unit? It could be first year of Shemitah, first year after Shemitah, second year, 6th year, or it could be the Shemitah year, the 7th year. And then again, first year after Shemitah, second year after Shemitah. Again, it's 7 times, which is 49 years. Then you have a Yovel, and then the cycle resumes. That's how it works. So Be'ezer Shavua, which cycle of Shemitah, which group of 7 within the Yovel? Yovel finishes with the first group of 7, is the second group of 7, the third group, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. So next is Be'ezer Shana, which year of the Shemitah year?
So if Tafshin Ayin A would be the Shemitah, so that's the second question. That would be the question.
Yeah.
So now would be, let's say.
Right now we're in the 2nd, I think.
No,
Number 4 of
Tafshin A
the
was
2nd.
the.
Yeah. Be'ezer Chodesh, which month of the year? Okay, you told me which year of Shemitah, which month of the year. Did it happen Nisan? Did it happen Adar Rishon? Did it happen Shvat? But Kama b'Chodesh, which day of the month? Did it happen Chaf Adar? Chaf Aleph Adar? Be'ezer Yom, which day of the week? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Be'ezer Shah, which hour of the day? Finally, Be'ezer Makom, where? What's the place? These are called Chikiras. We just had 7 Chikiras. Which cycle of Shemitah means which Shavua? A, 1. Which year of Shemitah is 2? Which month in the year is 3? Which day in the month is 4? Which day in the week is 5? Which hour of the day? First hour of the day, the 10th hour of the day. Is 6? And where? What's the place? Describe to me the detailed location where the crime, where you saw this happen. Those are the Sheva Chikiras. Then there is something called B'dikos. What's B'dikos? B'dikos is what we would call in English supplementary questions. What was he wearing? What was the victim wearing? What was the perpetrator wearing? What type of weapon did he use? Every single detail. The Mishnah says Rabbi Vayakhel and Zakkai once investigated the witnesses. They said they saw a murder under a fig tree. So describe to me the stems of the fig tree. The stems of the fig tree. The purpose of dikos is simply to be able to identify truth versus contradictions between the edus. He was wearing a white shirt, he was wearing a red shirt, a yellow shirt, a blue shirt. What was the weather like? And b'dikos could be endless. B'dikos is based on your imagination. The intention is to corner them. The intention is to corner them and to figure out discrepancies, if there may be. There may not be, and then you'll uphold the testimony. Says the Mishnah, Ma ben chkiris leb'dikas, or Tanan, Ma ben chkiris leb'dikas. Chkiris, Amar echad men eini yedei edusam pteila. B'dikois, afilu shneim, aim nemeinu no yedim eidusim kayemes. Chikiros, the first 7, if one says, I don't know, you tell him which day of the week it was, I don't know. Which hour was it? I don't know. Somewhere by day or by night. Which month was it? I don't know. Who knows? Nothing. There's nothing doing. Eidusim p'teila. B'dikois, if both say we don't know, the eidus is still kaya. In other words, you'll say, was the guy wearing shoes with shoelaces or without shoelaces? I'll say, I don't know. You say you don't know. It's still fine. So what's the point of it? The point of it is if I say, yes, shoelaces, you say no shoelaces. I say a red shirt, you say a green shirt. I say the tree had thick branches, you say the tree had thin branches. I say there were green figs, lush figs, you say there were brown figs. Then we have a contradiction, and that's going to be mevatel the edus.
So
That's b'dikas. But b'dikas, if we both say, if I say I don't know, that's fine. Or you say you don't know, we both say we don't know, that's fine. Why? Because we assume that a person doesn't always know every single detail that we may ask him. But chiros he can't get away with. Chiros, if somebody says I don't know, eidusim p'teila.
Chiros is basically part of the story.
Yeah.
So b'dikas could change. I mean, it's not like chatiras. B'dikas could be anything. They don't even know. They wouldn't even know.
B'dikas could be anything. I'm telling you, the Gemarah, the Mishnah says the stem of a fig tree, what it looked like.
Just recording to make sure that everything.
It's basically, it could be an endless investigation and cross-examination like you'll see today. He was wearing a hat. Really? What type of hat? He wasn't wearing a hat. Was he wearing a hat? And just any, you'll hop on crazy details. Was there a car nearby? Was there no car nearby? What was the color of the car nearby? And of course, the more you do this, like today, we see it constantly, right? The more you do this, and the more you could catch the person by a discrepancy, by a lie, by imagination, and then you could bring the evidence, right? The more likely it is for the lawyer, for the defender, to dismiss the case, to exonerate the defendant. In halacha, obviously, you couldn't bring pictures of cars or situations. We're talking about, some Mishnah that was written almost 1900 years ago. But the point is, I'm going to prove discrepancies here. You're going to have one story and another story.
I didn't understand. If one witness says green shirt and one says blue shirt, the whole thing is for problem or it's not for problem?
But they can always say, I don't know. They could say,
I don't know. One says one thing and one says
So
the
it's
other.
over, next.
Is it mevat?
Yeah, unless it's a color that can be mistaken, that would work. Sometimes you have two colors, like we learned before, the second hour and the third hour. No, sometimes you have two colors. Again, if there's natural room for human error, and it's a normal thing, we're not going to push ourselves to say it was an error. But if it's a natural thing, like hour 2, hour 3, like we learned before, people make mistakes by 2 hours according to Rabbi Meir, 3 hours according to Rabbi Yehuda. That's very normal. It's the majority of people. You look at the sun and you get it off. Very few people get the right time. So we just have to assume he's making a mistake. We're not going to say he's a liar because it's natural. But if you're right, if I say clearly he was wearing a red shirt, and you say he was wearing a blue shirt,
Or a multicolored.
and it's clear. I'm not saying I don't know, maybe it was a red shirt, right? Maybe I'm saying I know. And then you say the opposite, Bezdin will disqualify it. Let's see Rashi.
For the B'dikes, there's no play at all. I mean, so one person says, I said the hat is Salv, and the other one says it's Yarek. And it's not always so clear what Salv and Yarek are.
Yeah.
They don't do that there also? In other words, Chakira, they're going to do that because we learned about the Shahs.
Yeah.
They don't do it by.
They don't do what? I'm sorry.
They don't try to make allowances for different answers in the B'di case.
Not if there are discrepancies that cannot be explained by common human error.
So they would explain if
Blue and green.
so blue and green people.
Right. Just like we learned with the second hour, the third hour, third hour, the fifth hour. We'll do that.
Yeah.
If it's a common error that people make. If it's an uncommon error, we're not going to push ourselves and say they're honest, but they made this error. Just like we don't say when you say the second of the month and I say the fourth of the month, say that 2 months I'm not keeping up with what's going on. We could do that, but we're not going to do that. But 1 day off is just too common to destroy the testimony based on that. The same as this in this situation. Let's see Rashi. Shevach Kiris, hayu boit kenoise le'edei nefashos. The fourth line from the top line. So hayu boit kenoise le'edei nefashos. They would examine edei nefashos, means witnesses of capital crimes. Edei nefashos means witnesses that we're dealing with a potential death penalty. But Shevach Kiris, mikroi nafkalam b'sanhedrin ba'hu pirka. We learn this out from Psukim, biblical verses in that chapter of Masechta Sanhedrin Daf Mem. The Gemarah learns out how we know Shevach Chiris. Is this just common sense? Or is just, actually, does it have a source? And that is going to be important. We'll soon see why. That's why Rashi just says here, it's learned from Psukim. It's not just, Bezdin thought we have good 7 questions that make sense. No. It's much more than that. Mikroi nafkalon. We learn it out from Torah that you have to have these Shevach Kiris. It's not because it makes sense, because we'll soon see in situations where that becomes very relevant. Shavua, Shmita. Be'ezeh Shmita shel Yovel sheyesh b'sheva Shmitas. Ezeh Shana shel Shmita. Ezeh Chodesh b'Shana. Kama Yomim b'Chodesh. Ve'ezeh Yom b'Shabbos. Echad b'Shabbos. Sheni b'Shabbos. Shlishi b'Shabbos. Oyachad min ha'acherim. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. Ma b'Chiris l'bdikas. Right? Diktani Yasim, we learned over there, what's b'dikos? Here we go. Makirin atamaisai. Do you know the guy? Oh, you know him? What color eyes does he have? Length of his nose? What type of forehead? Color hair? Right? What does he look like? Is he obese? Is he slim? Is he tall? Is he short? Do you know the guy? What's his name? Where was he born? Etc. Next, he's Shreisim boy. Did you warn him? Did you warn the perpetrator? Next, Bameh Hargai. What was the instrument used? B'sayef Hargai. Was it with a sword? Baririn Hargai. Was it with an axe? Next, Kalev Shchayrim Alavenim. Is he wearing black? Is he wearing white? Kalev means garments, right? Kalev doesn't mean utensils. It means utensils, but here it means garments. Are they black or white? Next. Okay, finished. V'chol amarbe b'bdikos hareza meshubach. The more, the merrier. Don't stop. What is the distinction halach between the first 7 and the latter ones, meaning the bdikos, the supplementary questions? So Rashi says, somebody says, I don't know, even when it comes to hours, you say, what hour is it? You might say, oh, he doesn't know, what do you want from him? It was somewhere in the day. No, the edus is bottle. With bdikos, the edus is not bottle. The edus remains as long as there's no contradiction. The edus is not bottle. Granted, this is the Mishnah in Masechta Sanhedrin, Chiros, standard questions, bdikos, supplemental questions. I just want to say one ha'ara, just for the sake of clarity, and that is Rashi gives us here a list of bdikos, right? All these questions, if the garments were black or white. Rashi also includes what instrument he's using. I just want to emphasize that the Rambam, I'm just going to read you the Rambam Hilchas Edus, chapter 1, because it's just good to see his view. It's a little bit of a different view. And the Rambam says as follows. You have to ask the Edus 7 standard questions. And he goes through the 7. Okay. Which year, etc., which month, which day, which hour. There is something else, the Rambam says, called chiros. And those are questions that are essential to the story, even if they're not connected to the date and the location. For example, if they say he violated Shabbos, which malacha did he do? If they say he did Avodah Zarah, what did he worship? Which god? Which deity? How did he worship it? He ate on Yom Kippur. What did he eat? He killed somebody. How did he kill him? Harehu miklal hachiros. We see clearly Rambam disagrees with Rashi. The instrument he used for murder, the Rambam says, is not bdikos, it's chiros. And we can understand why. Because that's, even though it's not the time and the place, it's part of the story. The shirt he was wearing during the murder is not part of the story. That would be called bdikos. But other things that are like essential to the story, in other words, the ikar of the edus depends on them, like how he killed him, this the Rambam does not put into the word, this is Sanhedrin Daf Mem Amud Aleph. The Rambam puts this into Chikiros. He says, Chiros and Drishos. It's called Chiros and Drishos. Those are the things that are the Iker Ha'edis. And through that information, he'll be guilty or innocent. And basically, we want to understand the intention behind the deed, the time, and the place. And then he says there's b'dikos, which are things that are not an Iker. They're not essential. So this is a very interesting mahalach, where the Rambam would argue about the instrument, that the instrument is part of Chira, is not part of B'dikas. I just wanted to mention that. Huh? So it's Sheva Chiras, then he calls them Drishos, which are an extension of Chiras. But it's minimum Sheva, and then there's the Chira, which are always generic, and then there's the Chiras that relate to the essential story. Like what made up the story? He was Mechalo Shabbos, yeah? You can't say, what did he do? The Rambam says, that's not B'dikas, that's Chiras. What did he do? What did the guy do? Right? What did the guy do? Which Rashi may also agree with that. The question of an instrument, the Rambam extends it even to an instrument. It's not just he killed him. How did he kill him?
So according to Rambam, if you couldn't find the instrumentality, you should identify.
So if I say, according to Rambam, if I say I don't know which instrument, the Edus is bottled.
You know what it is, but I'm saying they never found it. They don't physically have it. Does
Right.
it matter to according to Rambam?
No.
So they could have thrown it in the river, but as long he could have thrown it.
As long as the testimony is valid and consistent.
No, but I mean they can identify, but they
Right. Says the Gemarah weiter, va'avinen bon. The Gemarah explained and asked the question, Maishna Chiris, Maishna B'dikas. Why is there a difference between Chiris and B'dikas? We explained that the purpose of B'dikas is simply to reveal the cracks in the testimony and the contradictions. Maybe they will disagree with each other, and the discrepancy will allow us to dismiss the witnesses because there's a contradiction. But Chiros, we said, is not only for contradiction. Even if one of them says, I don't know, and both of them say, I don't know, it's bottle. What's the difference? And we answered as follows. Chiros, when it comes to Chiros, Omar Echad men any idea. If somebody says, I don't know, Edusan Ptela, the Edus is bottle. Why? The Havila Edus Shiata Yachal Hazima. Because it becomes a testimony, it becomes an Edus, which is not subjected to what's called Hazama. B'dikos Edus Shata Yachal Hazimahi. When it comes to b'dikos, even if a witness says, I don't know, it still remains a testimony that's subjected to hazama. What is hazama? Hazama is a halachic name, the halachic name, for the following scenario. Two witnesses came, testified that something happened. Okay? That Reuven killed Shimon under a fig tree, etc. Come another two witnesses, and they may say, it wasn't Reuven, it was Levi. They're contradicting the first testimony. So now you have two sets of witnesses contradicting each other. That's called hakchasha, not hazama. Hazama is that the second set of witnesses don't testify about the event. We don't know about the event. If they're testifying about the event, so you have two sets of witnesses against each other, pitted against each other, describing a different story. Here, the second set of witnesses, they testify on the witnesses. Their testimony is not on the event. They're not contradicting the event. They're testifying on Edus on the witnesses, meaning they turn the first witnesses into people who now have to defend themselves about themselves.
Unless they get charged.
Where they become negei. But what's the testimony? Imanu hayisa. You're telling me that Sunday morning, 9 o'clock a.m., in Monsey, New York, you saw this and this event. The problem is, Sunday morning, you were with us walking on the boardwalk in Miami Beach in Florida. And we saw you there. That's called hazama. Here there's a unique halacha. What's the halacha? Vasisim loy kachazamam lasas lachiv. They now receive the penalty that they wanted to bring on to the defendant. They receive the penalty. Whatever the penalty is. That's called hazama. The Torah teaches us any edus that doesn't lend itself to hazama is not acceptable. Which means, if I testify and I don't put myself in a situation where potentially you could come and say, you're lying, you were there with me, that edus is not acceptable. That's called edus she'iyat yachal hazima. Says the Gemarah, b'dikos doesn't challenge that. If I say I don't know what color shoes you were wearing, okay, so I don't know. But what if I say I don't know which day of the month, or I don't know which year of Shemitah, or I don't know even if I know which part of Yovel, right? So you could say, 1 second. 1 second. You were there with me. When were you there with me? I don't know which month. Or you say, I don't know which day. I don't know which day. What happens? Even hour. Let's see Rashi. Okay, in order to appreciate this Rashi, let us look at the Psukim, and it will become much clearer. The first one, in the Blue Chumash, page 533, Parshas Re'eh, Perik Yud Gimel, Pasuk Tesvav. Parshas Re'eh, Perik Yud Gimel, Pasuk Tesvav. Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 15. 533. What's the situation? You heard in one of the cities that two people went and they influenced the majority of a city to engage in pagan idolatry. This is called Ir HaNidachas. Pasuk Tesvav, look at this. V'darashta, v'chakarta, v'sha'alta heitev. Translation. You should inquire, you should investigate, and you should ask heitev, well. And you discover that it's truth. This abomination happened in your midst, and the Torah continues the penalty of Ir HaNidachas. What's wrong if we would just say v'darashta? You should investigate. Investigate means investigate well. Investigate doesn't mean I come to you and I say, what happened, and I run away. V'darashta means doirish, right? See an ein doirish, la meklal de boydrish, you doirish. Chayke v'doirish. Investigation. Doirish means you search. Yeah. What's wrong if we just say v'chakarta? What's v'chakarta? Chakarta means you should investigate. Chakira, chayker. Right? A chayker is an investigator. You're chayker. What does it have to say heitev? So it says v'darashta, then it says v'chakarta, then it says v'sha'alta, which just means ask a question. Okay? And then it says heitev. This is very important. So we have here these terms. Okay, that's A. Okay, just how the Chazal put it together. And what are we trying to do? We're investigating a crime to figure out if they deserve the death penalty. We're basically looking for testimony. We're looking for witnesses. No, heitev means good. Toiv, heitev. Well. That, yeah, hadik, heitev, hadik means crush it well. Same thing here. Investigate it well. Exactly the same thing. Toiv, do it well. Do a thorough job. Don't just do a superficial drisha and chakira. Do a thorough job. Heitev means very, very well. Make sure you get to the bottom of the case. That's what heitev means. When you say something, cook it well. What does cook it well? Leave it in the pot. It always means the same thing. Toiv just means it should be a thorough job. Like we say, son, you did a good job. Right? You did a good job. Okay. That's scene A. This is exhibit A, as exhibit A, talking about court cases. Exhibit B brings us to a person worshiping Avodah Zarah individually. Person worshiping Avodah Zarah individually. Okay, page 541, the beginning of Parshas Shoftim, Perik Yud Zayin Pasuk Dalet, Deuteronomy 17, verse 4. A person goes and worships Avodah Zarah individually, okay? Pasuk Dalet, okay, page 541, the last line. V'hugad lecha, you hear about it, it's told to you. V'shamata, you hear. V'darashta, you should investigate it. Heitev, well, interesting. V'darashta is not enough. Heitev. V'hine emes nachin adavar neses ateva azayis b'Yisrael. Again, the same ending. So what do I have here? I had v'darashta v'chakarta v'sha'alta heitev before Ba'ir HaNidachas in Re'eh. The next parsha, I have two words. V'darashta heitev. Okay.
Have your class.
Okay, now let's come to the punchline. And the punchline is, we're dealing now with Adis. Page 547. Page 547. Chapter 19, same parsha, Shoftim, Pasuk Yitches, Perik Yites, Pasuk Yitches. What are we talking about? Here we're talking about witnesses, actually. Right? You see in Pasuk Tesvav, he says, Lo Yokum Eid Echad Be'ish, you can't have one witness, you have to have two or three. Okay. Pasuk Yud Zayin, the two people stand up and they testify in front of the judges. Pasuk Yud Ches, now listen. V'darshu hashoftim heitev. The judges shall investigate well. V'hine, eid sheker ha'eid. The witness is a liar. Sheker ana ba'achiv. He lied against his brother. V'asisem loy Kasher zamam lasas la'achiv. This is the actual case of Eidem Zayim. You should do to him what he schemed. Zama means planned, schemed, right? To do to his brother, ubi'arta haram mikirbecha. We have a klal that when it says aid in Chumash, it means two. We're not going to get into how we know that, but Masechta Sotah Daf Beis, when it says aid, it means two. So when it says vasisim loy sheker aid, it means both witnesses. They're Eidim Zayim. What do we see from here? The Torah uses in all three places the word hetev. In all three places the word risha. The first one it says v'darashta, v'chakarta, v'sha'alta hetev. The second place, in Parshas Shoftim, the lashon was v'darashta hetev. The third time, v'darshu hashoftim hetev. The hetevs are completely superfluous. If the Torah tells me investigate, it means investigate. Don't do a bad job, do a good job. So we compare all the hetevs are here to do what's called copy and paste. Gzeir shava means copy paste. Copy paste means the Torah is trying to compare all the three scenarios. When we put the three scenarios together, we have 7 questions that have to be asked. V'darashta, the first time it says v'darashta, investigate. V'chakarta, investigate. Why 2? In other words, there's 2 questions. Hetev, well, a third question. Okay, that's the first one. The second case it says, what's the second case? It says, v'hugad l'cha v'shamata v'darashta hetev. That's another 2, v'darashta hetev. So from 3 I get 5. In the last case, Eidem Zayim, it says, v'darshu hashayvtim hetev. That's another 2, 7. So I could say, by Ira Nedachas you have to ask 3. By Avodah Zarah you have to ask 2. By Eidem Zayim you have to ask 2. But because it says heitev in all 3 places, and this heitev is open for interpretation, so this is called a Gzeir Shava. What's a Gzeir Shava? Gzeir Shava means part of the system. The way Moshe Rabbeinu wrote down the Torah and Pi HaGvura is that he used in different laws identical words in order to be able to copy and paste, so to speak, in order to be able to apply this halacha to here and this halacha to here. So it's as though in each one it says all 7. So this means when it comes to Iran Nidachas, when it comes to Avodah Zarah, when it comes to Eidim, I always need at least 7 questions.
Is this the only 3 times that
Yeah. If there would be more, we would have more. This is what Rashi meant, that you learn out from the Psukim, in Masechtas Sanhedrin, we learn from the Psukim, that you need Shevach Kiras. Now let's see how far this goes.
So hetev is the word that we use for Gzeir Shava. Hetev is the word that we use for Gzeir Shava.
Hetev. Let's see Rashi. Eidus shiyata yachal azima. Rachmana amar v'darshu hashayvtim hetev v'hine eid shekera eid. V'asisim loy kachasavim lasois. What do we see from here? Investigate an aid. And what if you investigate and you see that he's a liar? Then do to him what he planned to do to his brother. So we learn from here, Eidus shata yachal l'kayim b'teres hazama hava eidus. V'iloi loi. The only Eidus we're going to accept is an Eidus that is vulnerable to Hazama, because the Torah says the Eidus come and they testify, and if one turns out to be a liar, you should do to him what Zamam. What do we see from here? That this is part of the way the Torah describes Eidus. In other words, whether it happens or doesn't happen, it has to be able to create, there has to be the potential for it to happen.
So do you use a Gezer Shava on Hazama?
Heitev. We'll see in a moment. V'hazama eina ela b'imanu hayisim. Ba'oser hayoyim ba'oser shosh atamemnu shirisim eidazu. B'makim zeh hayisim imanu b'makim ploini. What is hazama? Hazama doesn't mean you're making a mistake. The guy was the wrong guy, or was the wrong instrument, or was a detail in the story. It's about the eidus. You were with us that day, that hour. When you say that you saw this story in this place, hayisim imanu b'makim ploini. If on one of the chkiris I say I don't know, we both say we don't know, then it's an eidus sheyata yachal azima, because the other eidus can't come and say, how do you say that 8 o'clock in the morning you saw this event in Miami when 8 o'clock in the morning that day you were with me in Monsey? So therefore, It's an Eidus Shiat Yachalazim. By B'dikas, if I say I don't know, it's not an Eidus Shiat Yachalazim. I say I don't know what color shoes he was wearing. You could still come and say you were with me somewhere else and do Hazama. But if I say I don't know which day of the month it is, right? Or I say I don't know which year it is, or I say I don't know where it happened. I don't know where it happened. So you'll say, how do you say this? You were with me in Miami. Oh, it happened in Miami. Right? I have to limit it to a place that you could say you were not here, you were there. The same is with a day. If I say I don't know it happened Sunday or Monday, I don't know which day of the month it happened, right? So you'll say, well, what do you mean? Sunday you were in Miami. You're right. This happened Monday. You're right. You understand? What if an hour? I don't know the hour. So you can't come and say 8 o'clock in the morning you were here, you were in Borough Park. How do you say you saw it in Monsey? Oh, I don't know when it happened. You say 8, I was in Borough Park. Yeah, this must have happened 1. Gesund to hate. So it's not an Eidus Shatachalism. That's why with Chidis, you can't get away with saying I don't know. Because any I don't know is removing the potential of Hazam. Frekt Rashi, gewaltige Kasche. V'im toimer at Yachalazima. Aidei hayoim. It still lends itself to Hazama through the day. Im yavayu oidim v'yoimru kol hayoim hayisim imano. What's the problem? 2 witnesses could come and say, a whole day you were with us. You tell me it happened on Sunday, Beis Adar. Sunday, Beis Adar. Which hour? We don't know. Which hour? We don't know. So which hour? We don't know. Beis Adar. Okay, Beis Adar is 24 hours. So 2 Eidos come and say, we saw you 24 hours, the whole Beis Adar. From Motzei Shabbos till Sunday night, you were with us. Where were you with us? In Miami. You say this happened in New York. It's Hazama. So l'chayda, even if we don't say which hour we don't know which hour, it's still an Eidus Shatayachal. So why would that disqualify the Eidus? You could still be mazim them by saying a whole day. You were there with us a whole day. So Rashi answers something very interesting. Miyu batzru luhu toiras hazama min chiras hashas. What you did do though was, you took away the potential for hazama from the investigation of the hours. In the hours there can't be hazama. There could only be hazama through the day, but there can't be hazama through the hour. Because the hour you can't catch me. The only way you could do hazama is by saying the whole day when you say it happened, you were with us elsewhere. But you can't do hazama through the hour, because I didn't give you room to do hazama for the hour. If I say it happened 8-ish, you could say 8 o'clock, you were with me in Miami. How do you say this happened in Borough Park? Granted. But if I say I don't know which hour, so there can't be hazama through the hour. There can only be hazama through the day. No, so what? This is where it becomes so important that the Torah identifies that there has to be sheva chiras, 7 questions that the Torah specifies you have to ask in order for there to be able to do hazama, which means each one has to lend itself to hazama. And therefore you have to be able to say the hour. You can't just ignore it, even though there could be hazama from another situation, through another situation.
So this set of 7 questions is basically essential to any potential hazama.
This set of 7 questions exactly is essential to any potential hazama. It has to happen. And therefore, any aide who doesn't answer any of these 7 questions clearly and tries to ignore any of them and say, I don't know, automatically becomes puzzle, because we can't be mezim as Eidos. If I cannot say, for example, the exact hour, so 2 Eidos cannot come and be mezim me and say, this hour you were somewhere else. So Rashi asks a question, but they could still say, a whole day you were somewhere else. The answer is that the Torah tells us you have to do shevach kiris, including the hour. Why? Why? Just do the day. There could still be hazama. So the pshat is that the Torah wants there should be a potential for hazama, even relative by the hour. I should be able to disprove them, not just by the day. I should be able to disprove them by the hour. In other words, I want to get down to the narrowest dimension, the narrowest aspect of their testimony. Even there could be hazama. And if I say I don't know the hour, over there can't be hazama. There could only be hazama and hadama by the day. So therefore the Eidus is going to be batal. Why? Because I can't be mazim them by relating to this detail. If we talk about this detail, the hour, can there be hazama? There can't be hazama. And therefore it's this it's disqualified.
So his Adis is Vayakhel, meaning he's excused.
Yeah, he's done.
And then you bring someone else in and tell, in other words, I don't know, I don't recall, it's not acceptable in terms of the capital case.
Right. Completely unacceptable, and the Adis will become bottle.
What about that in a different case, like in the Mamas and stuff like that? Another capital punishment.
Over there too, yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
same seven
Yeah.
So the Adis that are testifying that it's with them in Miami that whole day, now they have to, do they have to have...
So if I say I saw this event 8 o'clock in the morning in Monsey, they come and say, 1 second, 8 o'clock in the morning you were in Borough Park. Right?
And you were good. Then you have a Zama.
Imanu Yisem. Now there was Azama on the hour.
Right.
But if I say I don't know which hour, I just know it was Sunday. So they say, but a whole Sunday you were with us in Borough Park. You weren't in Monsey. That wouldn't work. Why? Because it wasn't an Adis that allowed itself to experience Azama through the hour, through narrowing it down through the hour. And that's the Chiddush of the Shevach Kiris in the Pasuk.
They off the hook of getting what they were trying to bring on to the other.
Yes.
So
There won't be Azama, yeah.
well,
And the Adis won't be accepted. An Adis She'atochel Azima will not be accepted. Why is this Negeya to this Sugya? We have a major question. What's the question? If you believe that a person could make such a major mistake, as we learned before, Rabbi Yehuda said a person can err by 3 hours minus a fraction when you look at the sky. And Rabbi Meir said a person can err 2 hours minus a fraction when you look at the position of the sun in the sky, if that's what you really believe. Every Adis is an Adis that doesn't lend itself to Azama, the Amri Mitika Katainan, because the first Adis could say, oops, we made a mistake. We made a mistake. I say a story happened 8 o'clock in Monsey. So 2 people come and say, 8 o'clock, you were in Borough Park with me. Imanu Yisem. I say, oh, sorry, it was 11 really. It was 11. It was 10:59. Right? Great, that's it. You can get 3 hours you can get from Borough Park back to Monsey. You're right. 8 o'clock, I was with you in Borough Park. It was really 10:59. I thought it was 8 because I looked at the sky. I thought it was 8. But really it was 11, almost 11. And I got back to Monsey already. So it's an Eidah Shiat Yachal Azimah. They'll say, but you were in Borough Park a whole day. Right? That's a different story. That's a different story. But on the Shah, there's no Hazama, and there could never be Hazama. Because you just told me that there's a tremendous room, a lot of room we give people to make mistakes. So they'll say, Mitikatina, Rashi, B'dikas, Ki Amri Einonu Yoidin Eidus Shatayachal Azimi, Sheina Azama Tluya Behen Ela B'chkiris, the Mai Manu Yisem Yashlema B'kelim Shchorim Alaveina. Let's say I say it was black clothes. You say, oh, Imanu Yisem, white clothes, it's not Negeya. So B'dikas is not Negeya Tazam. V'i Amri Toy, Yinish Kulahai, Chkiris Deza Shanami. Ein lecha b'hazama. Afilu kol yomer ein yedei. The kiyamer b'chamesh v'amri le b'chamesh. Imanu yisi yachalem b'arba yavel teisi. Let's say I say it was the 5th hour. 5th hour is 10 o'clock. They say, oh, 10 o'clock you were with me in our house. You were with us in our house at a bris. What are you making up a story? So I say, oh, yeah, you're right. It wasn't 10. It was 9. It was b'arba. It was 9. So why'd you say it was 10? I made a mistake. I looked at the sun. I thought it was 10, really, it was 9. So 10, I was with you. 9, I wasn't with you. There can't be Azama. In Shas, there can never be Azama. Why? Because there's always wiggle room. 2 hours, or according to Rabbi Yehuda, 3 hours. So the Gemarah says, Ya Gewaldike Chiddush. The Gemarah says, you're right. Yahavinen luhu kuli to'usayhu. The idea of Hazama with hours doesn't mean that they say that hour you were with us. It has to include the whole span of potential error room. The whole span. What does this mean? Much more. L'Reb Meir, according to Reb Meir, Yavinen luhu mitchilas sharish shaynat tzayv chamash. You got to give him from the beginning of the 1st hour till the end of the 5th hour.
You're saying 5 hours either way, or just from the beginning of it? At 12, you could have, at the 5th hour, you could say up to the 10th and back to the 1st?
When a person says, we have 2 people here. One person said, it happened the 2nd hour, right? The second person said, one person said it happened, let's say the first witness comes and says, it happened the second hour. Right? So what does the Mizimim have to do? They have to give room, wiggle room for 2 hours mistakes. So he says, from the beginning of the first hour till the end of the fifth hour. Why? He said it was the second hour. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. We're not going to punish him a la Suffolk. Here we're going to give the benefit of the doubt for him, just like before we gave the benefit of the doubt for the defendant. And we're going to say, okay, he said the second hour. Maybe it's the end of the second hour, which means 8 o'clock, right? 8 o'clock. And if it's the end of the second hour, so you have to give him space. That's what he's saying.
How much space?
Reb Meir said 2. So Yavinu l'mitchila shar rishayna at soif chamesh. Ubedinhu denesiv l'meikaret fei. Really backward, you should give him more. Ela ben yamama l'layla lo'to winshi. But people will make a mistake between daytime and nighttime. Let's see what this means. Let's see Rashi. Meshani v'yavinu l'kula to'usayu. V'im yesh mezimin kan yichaylin lahazim aydei shah v'ta'usa v'loyma lo'kol ha'shah v'ta'usa yisei manu. The way Adam Zayman works is, they say, this hour you were with us, and all the possible mistakes that you made connected to this hour. Lireb Meir, the Amar Adam Toya Beis Shayus, Yavinen Lu Lahani, the Shtayim V'Gimel, Mitchilas Shar Rishayna Tzayv Chamesh Ben Shnei. What did Reb Meir say? If an 8 comes and says second hour, an 8 comes and says third hour, we accept them. 3 and 5 not, 2 and 4 not, but 2 and 3 we accept them, right? It has to be a situation of Eidus Shatayachal Azima. Why is there an Eidus Shatayachal Azima? The Eidus will have to come and say, you guys were with us from the first hour till the end of the fifth hour. If sunrise at 6, from 6 till 11. You understand why, yeah? You understand why? One guy said it happened the third hour. What's the third hour? 8ish, right? 8ish. Reb Meir said you can make a mistake by 2 hours. So let's say 8ish means, let's say 8ish means 8:59. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? If they say you were with us till 11, it means you're a liar. Because you were with us till 11. So you'll say, no, but it happened 12. So why'd you say it happened 8? Why'd you say it happened 8? Oh yeah, you're right, it happened 10. You were with us at 10. It happened 10:59. You were with us at 10:59. The same is, so that's the guy who said 3. You also got to go backwards for him. Maybe he meant the beginning of the third hour, which would be 8 o'clock, not 8:59, right? So then you got to give him 2 hours. If it's 8 o'clock, you got to give him till 6. So if he says it happened 8ish, then they say, well, you were with us at 8. Hey, you're right, it happened 6:30. You were with us 6:30. So that's Hazama. Now let's take the first guy who said the second hour. He said it happened 7ish. Right? If he meant 7:59, I will give him the benefit of the doubt because we want to save him. Again, we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So we're going to try to push it any way we can. We'll say, okay, he meant 7:59. So what did he mean 7:59? So for 7:59, you give him 2 hours. What's 2 hours? Till 10, which is the beginning of the fifth hour. Okay. Now give him backwards also. He says it was 7. Let's say he meant 7. So he says till 6. Why don't you give him till 5? The answer is because ben yamama l'mayla to'inshi 5 it's dark. 6 is day. That mistake we can't accept. Because we can't accept that mistake, so therefore if he says, I said 7, but really it happened 5:15. Sorry, it was dark outside. So they don't have to say you were with us at 5:15. Because that mistake we don't allow a person to do. The mistake could go from 6, but not from before 6. So therefore, the Edom Zayman don't have to say you were with us from 5. They have to say from 1, from the first hour till the end of the fifth hour to cover both Edus.
Does Zayman get also that leeway? Like they say, they say 11, but let's say they say 1 o'clock. So they say, no, really.
That's Tosfos' question. Good harder. Tosfos' harder.
So you're not allowed, we're not giving that leeway before 6.
You don't have to. It's dark. Ben Yamama l'layla lo to'inshi, so it's dark.
That's for both of them, you want to say for 2 hours?
Well, the guy of 3, you didn't need that because his 2 hours went till 6. But the guy of 2, him you should have given till 5, but you don't give him till 5.
No, I'm saying throughout them, one that says 2 hours, I give him leeway. The leeway is only after 6, not...
Right. Starts from 6. From 6 till 11. Basically, you need these Eidos to say, from 6 to 11, you guys were with us in Borough Park. Don't hakachainik. And then it's an Eidos that lends itself to Hazama. And since that could happen, so therefore, even with this whole cheshbon, the hours are still those that could be Muslim. They could still be Hazama.
You have a Zama between day and night. You don't say any more Kasha Zama. It doesn't even apply.
You don't need the Eidos to say you were there with us at 5, because we're not going to believe him. You can make a mistake between day and day, not between day and night. You understand?
Right.
I can't say the murder happened at 7. Yeah? You say, well, what's that? 7, you were somewhere else. 6, you were somewhere else. Oh, it happened at 4:30 in the morning. It happened at 5 in the morning. Sorry.
Right.
Well, why do you say 7? Oh, because I saw the sun in the sky. It looked like 7. Which sun in the sky? It was before sunrise, Shakran. You understand? So you can make a mistake between 7 and 8. The sun is here. I don't know if it's 7 or 8. But you can't make a mistake if the sun is up night and day, unless you're Meshuggah. If you're Meshuggah, you're not an 8.
There's no Zayin.
There's no Zayin. Rabbi Yehuda. What about Rabbi Yehuda? Oh, let's see Rashi, middle of Rashi. Okay. From the beginning of the first hour till the end of the 5th, between both of them. The guy of the second hour, you give him first hour, second hour, third hour, and fourth hour. Because even if he means the end of the second hour, 8, right? So you give him the third hour and you give him the fourth hour. Gesundheit. That's the first guy. The Heidershtayim. I'm sorry, the guy who said 7, even if he meant 7:59, right? So you give him 5. So it could be 7:59, so you can give him till 10. Well, the Heide Gimel, Yavinalei Oid Chamishis, the guy of the third hour, you give him another hour till 11. The Suloi. The Chaim relay la Heidershtayim b'shni manu yiso. Because if they tell the guy of 7, you were with us at 7, the guy say, oh, you're right, 7, yeah, this happened at 6. So they have to be able to say you were with us at 6. Now really he could have said it happened at 5. But so if he says to them, if they say to him, first and second you were with us, if they say the first and second hour you were with us from 6, right? 6 and 7, you were with us till 8, he could still say, I made a mistake the opposite direction. Really, it happened at 9:30, right? The third hour or the fourth hour. That's why they have to say, checkmate. If they say from 6 till 7, 8, 9, 10, you're with us, the first guy is Huzam. He'll say, okay, it didn't happen 6, it happened 9:59. 9:59 would work. I said 7-ish. 7-ish could mean what? 2 hours is what? Could be 7:59. I said the second hour. Could be the end of the second hour. Give me 2 hours or almost 2 hours, right? So it could be 9:59. You're right. That's why they have to say you were with us till the end of Shar Reviz. Next, ulabal shalish nami yavin on the kamei rishaynu ushniya ulabasei yavin reviz v'chamishes. The second guy who said the third hour we give him 2 hours back, 2 hours front. V'imazami lulakulu chamash harei huzam. So if they say you're with us from the first hour all the way down to the end of the 5th hour, has hazama. Checkmate. So this works. This works with hazama.
Does this mean that people that are the Eidim that are coming to Amen, they have to give a big range in order for it to be for them to make the Eidim? No. They have to.
Yeah. If they come and say, "How could you say 7? You were with us 7 in Borough Park," and the person says, "You're right. It was 9." That's it. He's off the hook. You understand? Bezdin will do that. Bezdin will say a person can err. He can't say it was 1, but he can say it was 9. Or almost 9.
Well, the Eidim aren't going to change. They can't change their testimony, but they said...
They can't change it. But if they come and say, we were with these guys, yeah? With these guys from 6 till 11 in Borough Park, then it's hazama. And it's hazama in hours. So you're right. So it's not, the Gemarah was saying, how could you believe that the Torah believes there could be so many mistakes, and therefore you give them this leeway? You just learned a Mishnah that chiros, you can't say any day because the hour has to be one that lends itself to hazama. He says, you're right. The hour lends itself to hazama if they include the mistakes. In other words, an hour can't be an hour. An hour has to include many more hours. That's it. But if you include those more hours, the hours have to be extended as long as they lend themselves to make a mistake.
So if the witnesses say we saw the crime at 8 o'clock, and the other guys come to Mizamar and them and they say we were there with you at 8 o'clock, it won't work. They have to say,
it won't work because you could say the crime happened at 7, or the crime happened at 6:15, and they weren't in Borough Park then; they were in Monsey. What's the proof? You didn't do checkmate on them. You understand? Huh? It was a check. Yeah. This is all the shit of Reb Meir, according to Rava, who gives us an error of 2 hours minus a fraction. Now let's see Rabbi Yehuda, who gives us 3 hours minus a fraction. It's going to be exactly the same calculation, but we're going to have a little more time. Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you have to give them. Who's them? You have to give the original witnesses, right? Yavin and Luhu. You have to give them Etchilas Shar Rishayna v'Atzav Shishis. You have to give them room for error from the beginning of the first hour till the end of the 6th hour. 11 is the beginning of the 6th hour, and 12 p.m. is after midday is the beginning of the 7th hour. I stand corrected. I meant from 12 to 6. From 6 to 12, not 6 to 1, and therefore the Eidos here have to really expand by 1 hour. More than the previous situation. Rashi, last Rashi on the page, Yud Beis. Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar Adam Toya Gimel Shayos. Yavinen Lu Lahanach, the Shalish v'Chamish. We have to give these 2 witnesses. One said 3rd hour it happened. One said the 5th hour. The Aidi Rabbi Yehuda Behen, who Rabbi Yehuda is addressing because he says it's kosher. Reb Meir doesn't even get to this. He says 3 and 5 is not kosher. But Rabbi Yehuda says it's kosher. So we have to give them Mitchilas Shar Rishayna v'Atzav Shis. From the beginning of the 1st hour till the end of the 6th. Now let's see the cheshbon. Let's first deal with the guy who is 3, the one who's the 3rd hour, right? He said 8. So that means Adam come and say, excuse me, 8 o'clock, you were with us. He says, oh, I made a mistake. How long can that mistake go till? It can go for 3 hours. That means if he meant 8:59, it can go 9:59, 10:59, 11:59. So if the Eidos say you were with us till 11:30, nothing doing, I'm still good. It happened 11:45. 11:45, I was back home and I saw the story. You weren't there with me. Imanu Yisam till 11:30, not till 12. So the guy is off the hook, right? So that means they just have to say you were with us till 12. So even if he's confusing 8:59 with 11:59, no problem. It happened 11:59. You're still lying. You know why? You were with us. Now let's go backward. He says 8ish. You got to give him 3 hours backward. That means they should have said you were with us since 5. We don't say that. We say from the beginning of 6, meaning we go 2 hours back as the Gemarah is going to define. Let's go to the second person. Second person says it happened the 5th hour. Okay? So now you got to give him 3 hours backwards. 5th hour means it happened when? It happened 10ish, right? It may have been 10. You got to go back all the way till 7, because the 5th hour may be in the beginning of the 5th hour. So it could have been 7 o'clock or 7:01. So if you tell me you were with me from 8 o'clock, that doesn't help because it happened 7:30. I thought it happened 10. I looked up. I thought it was 10. I thought it was this. Really, it was 7. And I'm good. So that's why they have to go back 3 hours. What about forward? If I say it happened 10, maybe I meant 10:59, and then they should go 11:59, 12:59, 1:59. In other words, they would have to say, I was with them till 2. We don't say that. We say, they have to say from 6 till 12. So that's what the Gemarah is going to explain. Ubedinu, the truth is, the Nes of Lu may karet fei. Really, for the one who said the 3rd hour, we should go back till 5. Because even if it happened at 8, you got to give him 3 hours. So they should say you were with us from 5 o'clock, because if not, he could say, oh, I said 8, but really it happened 5:15. I just made a mistake. No, nothing doing. People don't make an error between daytime and nighttime. 6 o'clock is sunrise. Till 6 o'clock, there's no sun. You can't say it happened 5:15 and I said it happened 8 o'clock. Sorry. A mistake between 6 and 8, I'm fine. 8 and 11, I'm fine. 9 and 8, I'm fine. 6:30 and 8, I'm fine. Not. Even 6 and 8 is not good because it's full 3 hours, right? But you want me now. 6 and 8 is fine because it's 2 hours. But 5:15 and 8 is not going to work because it's Yamama V'Layla. Next. 1 second. The guy of the 5th hour, we should give him more time ahead because he says the 5th hour, 10 o'clock. Maybe it's 11 o'clock, so it should go 12, 1, 2. The issue is that in the 5th hour, 10 o'clock, the sun is in the east. 2 o'clock, the sun is in the west. And here again, people are not prone to that error. So therefore, even if the Eidos don't say we were with you at 1 o'clock, and he says, oh, I said 10-ish, I meant 10:59. We could say he meant 10:59. Meant 10:59, really, it could have been 1:45. He looked up, and he thought it's 11 o'clock. What do you want from him? No. Sorry. That can't happen. It could be 11:30. It could be 12, 11:59. But after that, the sun is in the west. The distinction is very, very clear. And therefore, the Edom don't have to say, we were with you till 2 o'clock in order to turn him into a person of Hazama, because we're not giving him that margin of error. We will give him a margin of error till the end of the 6th hour, which means till 12 p.m. Even though he said 10-ish, we're going to give him that margin. So the Edom have to say from 6 till 12. We're not going before 6, and we're not going after 12.
So this answers what that question that he said places brings up, because the sun is the divider of the day, so then we're not giving the new Edom also that room for error because of the sun.
Let's see Rashi.
The most difficult case would be midnight and midday.
Okay, 1 second. We're going to get there. The Rashi on top. Yud Beis Amid Beis. The first Rashi. Ela ben Yemama le'leila lo'to inshi. And that's why we're not going to go back before 6. Ule basrei, and ahead, Yavinan le'revius, chamishis, v'shishis. We'll give the guy who says the 3rd hour, we're going to give him the 4th hour, and the 5th hour, and the 6th hour. I said 8 o'clock. We're going to give me till 12. Because maybe I meant 9, 8:59, so we're going to give me 10, 11, and 12. That means the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. We're going to give me that margin of error, and therefore the Eidos have to say that I was with them till 12. If they say I was with them till 11, I'm good. I'm not lying. Ulabal Chamesh, the man of the 5th hour, Yavinan lekamei revius shlishis ushniya. Backwards, we give him 4th hour, 3rd hour, and 2nd hour. I said it happened 10. We're going to give me the 4th hour, the 3rd hour, and the 2nd hour. So they have to say they were with me from 7, which is the 2nd hour, 8, which is the 3rd hour, right? 9, which is the beginning of the 4th hour. You're going to give that to me. Ula basrei, and ahead you're going to give me shishis. You're going to give me the 6th hour. I said it happens the 5th hour. You're going to give me the whole 6th hour, which means till 12. Vakati havalon lemeisavle. We should give him more. 3 hours. I said 10. Maybe it's 10:59. Give me till 2. Elah parish Rabbi Yehuda behed Yehuda bechamish l'sheva loito to bechamish chama b'mizrach b'sheva b'mayrav. But we already had in our Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda said that what? That between in that Mishnah Sanhedrin, Rabbi Yehuda said between Chamish and Sheva, they don't make a mistake because of the position of the sun, and therefore there's no need for the Edom Zayim to say that I was with them after 12 p.m.
Like the guy doesn't know if he's facing north or south.
Well, if you're a witness and you want to kill somebody, you make sure you know the time.
Same thing for the murderers.
You say very close to the 12. Okay, I thought I was facing this. I thought it was.
Now Rashi says something very important. Listen to these words. All these mistakes that we're giving them, what do we mean mistakes we're giving them? All these margins of error that we are allowing them, Yavinalu doesn't mean we're giving it them, it means we're giving them credit for it. We're giving them the benefit of the doubt. Hanemili, this is all la'atzulinhu, to save them. Ulamiftirinu miktala, and to exempt him from dying, from being killed, from being executed. One second. Avol mikol makayim, but nonetheless, misha k'shuhuzam echad mehen. When one of them was proved to be Muslim, just that hour, and the one after, miyad batla ha'edus, the edus will still be null, afilu loy huzam b'tol shalafanav, even if there was no hazama with the error that may go backwards. Why? He's going to give an example. Somebody said it happened in the third hour. They said, really? It happened in the third hour? It happened in the third hour. His friend said it happened in the fifth hour, okay? If they say, we were there from 6 to 12 and you were with us, what happens now? They're Eidim Zaymimin, and they get punished with the penalty that they wanted to do on the original defendant. What happens if I'm an aid, you and I, and we can't say we were there from 6 to 12 with you. But I could say, right, you say the third hour, and I could say, Shlishis Revius Chamishis Imanu Hayisa. You were with me, yeah, the third hour, which means 8, the fourth hour, which means 9, and the fifth hour, which means 10. You were with me at a bris from 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock a.m. You were with me, right? So now you're stuck. So what do you say? Oh, it happened 7. It happened 7, didn't happen 8. It happened 7:30. It was the second hour. I made a mistake. What happens now? You just broke up the testimony. Why? If it happened in 7, there's only one witness. Why? The second guy said it happened the fifth hour. And nobody says you can make a mistake from 7, from the second hour to the fifth hour. In other words, if it happened 7, right, and he said it happened b'shah chamishis, that's already too much. That's not going to work. Because ben shniya lechamishis loito. So therefore, the edus will not be substantiated. The edus will be obliterated, even though there's no din hazama here. In other words, there's no hazama, because I could say, I can go backwards. But what happens is, once you went backwards, now the discrepancy between the two edus is too wide, and you can't uphold it anymore. So this is a very important qualification Rashi is making, that this is all in order to create hazama. In order, mamish, to create hazama, that they're going to do hazama on these edus. But in order to be mevatel the edus, and just get that guy exonerated, even though these edus won't be punished, because they were not hazama, in other, everybody will go free. Everybody will go free, because you made a hole in the edus that you can accomplish even without this whole scenario. Just Rashi is clarifying the metzius of this.
It's not just saying you get out of kasha, but you have an addiction, whereas you could be mazam and you could be mazam, one of them, and that would have the same effect as making it possible.
Exactly. So what Rashi is saying is that when we're talking about that the edus have to come and say, we were with you from 6 till 12, it's only, and if not, they will not be in a state of hazama, right? That's only when we want to save them from the punishment of hazama. That's what he says. What's his lashon? We want that the edus shouldn't get killed. So that's why if you weren't there from 6 to 12, these edus can't get killed because there was no imanu yisa. That's what we're talking about. But in terms, so they won't get killed. But in terms of, there's a difference between getting killed and being accepted as edus. You may not get killed, but you're still not accepted as edus. That's his point.
What if the third guy is coming?
Has to be, their edus has to be kosher. Now they're saying they're refuting it. Here there's no edus, you don't even get up to that, because they're both saying different times that, so forget it, divide. Oh, you can't do azam on one. You're saying, can you do azam just on one aid? Or do they both have to qualify?
Both.
Meaning, if they say one.
Hazama is together. Hazama is together in both. That's the vart. So b'meila, if they say you were with us from, so if they take the first witness said it happened the third hour, and they say third, fourth, fifth, you were with us, right? The only way to accept his edus is that it happened when? In the second hour. If it happened in the second hour, then you can't combine him with the second aid, because the second aid said it happened during the fifth hour. And that's not going to work. You can't say that the story happened second hour. Right? And the person made a mistake between the second hour and the fifth hour. Really, it happened 7. So why did you say it happened the fifth hour? I made a mistake. Such a mistake we don't accept. The discrepancy is too much, and therefore there's a contradiction here. Simply the space is too much. So Mela we will not accept the edus. Now there's one ha'ara we want to make, which you did, and I just want to show it because Tosfos asks the question. It seems confusing, but it's not. We're good. L'Reb Meir, the last Tosfos Yud Beis Amud Aleph. L'Reb Meir yavinelu mitchilas shar rishayna at soif hey. Reb Meir says the Eidim Zaymamin have to say, you were with us from 6 till 11, right? And then they're covered. Then they could become Muslim. Hikshin Riva. Amayloi nitla hatos b'mizimim. Just as the original witnesses are prone to error, the mizimim, the one who are coming to discredit the witnesses, are also prone to error. Let's say they say you were with us till soif hey, which means till 11, right? Noimar, let's say shato, they made a mistake. V'karu l'dalid hey. What they're calling the fifth hour really was the fourth hour. They're saying you were with us till the 11 o'clock, but they made a mistake. They looked at the sky. They thought it was 11. Really, it was 10. So when they say, you guys were with us from 6 to 11, just like the first witnesses can make mistakes, they can also make mistakes. They also don't have a watch. They're also not connected to the internet, to satellites. They also made a mistake. So instead of 11, it's really 10. And if that's the case, and the story happened after 10. And therefore, there's no din hazama. Why? Because there's no proof that you were together with those edus. Really, the story happened on hey, which works. And if that happened, so then, there's no hazama. They're saying you were with us till the end of hey. They made a mistake. And really, they weren't with us. We weren't with them till the end of hay. We were with them till the end of Dalet. They say till the end of hay, they're off by an hour. They're calling it 10ish, and really it's 9ish. They're saying till 11 you were with us. They meant till 10. They just made a mistake. And if that's the case, then there's no hazama. Why is there no hazama? Because you could say that the Maisa happened in Shahei. It happened after 10. So according to the Meir, you're saying that one guy says 2, and one guy says 3, you give them 2 hours. So the guy who said 7ish, right, you got to give him till 10. And the guy who said 8ish, you got to give him till 11. Tosfos is saying, and if they don't give them, and if they say you were with us from 6 to 11, that's it. They're done. They're chopped meat. They're checkmate, as we said. The Riva says, I don't understand. Attribute to them the same error. Just like you give me the edus a margin of error, give them a margin of error, and don't go and kill them because of this. Say they're making a mistake. They were only with us till 10 o'clock, the first edus. So the hazama can only be till 10 o'clock, but maybe it happened at 11 o'clock. Or 10:30. And if it happened at 10:30, I'm not telling you to uphold the testimony. I know the edus is disqualified. Why? Because you still have a problem. The guy who said 7 couldn't mean 10:30, right? Even if he meant 8 o'clock, Reb Meir says you only have 2 hours, so you can go from 8 to 10. Can't go from 8 to 10:30. So we have a problem because we don't have 2 witnesses testifying the same story. We can't attribute the 7ish testimony to an event that happened 10:30. But nonetheless, mikol makom muzamim lo yiyu. But there's no din of muzamim to say that both of them were caught by Imanu Yisem. Absolutely not. Because even if you tell me you were there from 6, right, till 11, it could be from 6 to 10. And if it's from 6 to 10, so then, Mela, the guy who said the second hour, fine. But the second guy who said the third hour, right? We're giving him 2 hours. 2 hours means till 11, and they may have meant making a mistake. So the Hazam is batal. He wasn't Muslim. He can't go kill him on a suffix. You're right. Maybe they're right, but maybe they're wrong. Same question. We're trying to save. We're not trying to kill. Starke Shaila of Tosfos. I'm not saying to uphold the testimony. He's saying, I understand you can't uphold the testimony. Because if you're putting the story at 11:15, then the second hour, right, something happened here. They didn't see the same story. Because he wouldn't say it happened at 7 o'clock or 7:30, because according to Rabbi, you don't make such a mistake. So that means somebody's making up a story, but that's not kasher ma'uza. That's the question of the Riva.
So it means that Rabbi has to give to its own not 2 hours, but 3 hours. Even according to his opinion, he needs to give him 3 hours.
Basically, they would have to say that you were with us till
till the last 6 hours.
Till the end of the 6 hours, like Rabbi Yehuda. So there's no difference then. There's no difference. In other words, you have to give them also the margin of error, that they should be sure that Imanu Yisem Taka till 11, and the only way they can be sure that is if you give them till when the sun is going to the west.
Why should I give them the margin of error? The only tool they have is time. The only tool they have is time.
Yeah.
This is the one thing they should be certain. The other people, they have a whole story, and time is a...
You're right, but if you're saying that a person looks at the sun, and he wants to know the time, but he makes a mistake. Listen, we know this. Imagine all of us would not have watches and no clocks. Go outside and tell me what time it is. Trust me, everyone in the shir will give a different time. We're not used to it. Try it out, you see.
Imagine someone, the only tool, if he's not certain on what time it was, why would he come forward?
Oh, so that was Abaya's argument in the first version, that they don't even make a mistake by a mashu. Or by a mashu. Because if you're coming as an aid, you got to know your time. Fine. But but according to the other versions, they're prone to error. So he says, "V'oimeri the leitalinan hatos klal b'shnei edim k'deperishus leil." Tosfos said earlier, the first Tosfos, right, that if somebody said 3 and somebody said 5, according to Reb Meir, you should still uphold it. Why? Because you could say the story happened in the 4th hour, and each one was off an hour, not 2 hours. Why do you say it's batal? If I say 3 and you said 5, say the story happened b'revius, and even if I meant the beginning of the 3rd hour and you meant the end of the 5th hour, so I meant 8 and you meant 11, right? You could say the story happened 9:30. What was his answer? His answer was that Rava holds we don't attribute a toes to both of them. We don't say both of them. We say one of them. We're not going to go so far. So Tosfos uses this argument again. Like Talin and Hatos Klal b'shnei edim. We're not going to say both witnesses made the toes. We're going to attribute the toes to one. So therefore, we do not say this, and we say that this is enough to be mezim. It's enough to be mezim and say that when they say from 6 to 11, it's an inyan of azam.
So even with Rabbi Meir, it will work.
Yeah. After this whole long introduction, which was just an introduction, the Gemarah finally is going to get back to Chametz, which will continue Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow. You're basically giving another answer to Tosfos. That Mele Stam Eidus, you're testifying about the event. You're not focused so much on the time. The time is a tuffle. But by Eidim Zaymimin, the whole testimony is about time. In other words, he's saying that by Eidim Zaymimin, the whole Eidus, the chefts of the Eidus is about Zman and Mokum. It's about time and space. That at this time, you weren't here, you were there. It's really not only about time, it's also about location. In other words, but about the time. You're focusing on the time. Since here the time is the chefts of the Eidos, so the Mele, the diuk in time is much more expected.
So we don't
expected.
We don't say that they might be mistaken. If they say till 5, it means
so you're being moisef. You're being moisef. Why we don't expect a toast? Because the whole chefts of the Eidos is on Zman. Where in regular Eidos, Zman is just a detail. It's not the nekuda. You're telling a story. This guy murdered this guy. You have to give a time in order that we should be able to disprove you or authenticate you. Right? That's your vart.
So what's the Taisus saying that?
So that's Mosef even more why we don't attribute the toes to both of them. You're arguing even one of them we shouldn't attribute a toes because it's a whole different mahalach. If you're being Edom Zaymamin, I think though you could still say that it's an innocent mistake. When we say mistake here, we don't mean it's bemazed. It's malicious. It's an innocent mistake. I look at the sky and I really think it's 7. Okay? It's 8, but I think it's 7. I really think so. It's not that I don't want to be medayik. I do want to be medayik. Atazai. The vart is not I'm trying to make an error. I really think it's 8 o'clock. I'm a truthful person, but it's something that's not tangible. My truth is not the real truth. Exactly. That's the vart of Toos. Toos, it means I'm an innocent person. Because we're not going to kill a person if you're trying to lie. We're assuming here that they're completely innocent and well-intentioned and completely honest and they're full of emes and integrity. It's just their truth is not the real truth.
Why do you kill them?
Once you put it together, it is.
Because it's like when one says 7 and one says 8, it's like both of them said 8.
I can set a set of truths.
Because their mistake doesn't undermine the truth. If you said that it happened at 8, and I said it happened at 8:01, Bezdin will uphold it, right? Why?
Because the general public doesn't make mistakes.
Because my watch says 8:01, your watch says 8.
But somebody has a
Before there were watches, 7 and 8 or 7 and 9 is like 8 and 8:01.
But this is accepted in general.
It's accepted in Bezdin. It's like 8 and 8:01. 7 and 8 is 8 and 8:01, or 7 and 9. What we're saying is that 2 Eidos, we don't attribute the toes to 2 Eidos. Since it's a toes. Since it's takatos, because the sun was not holding by the 2nd hour, the sun was holding by the 3rd hour. So to say that 1 aid made a toes, that's very common. To say that 2 aids made a toes, we don't say that. And here it's l'chumra, because by saying that both aidim zayim didn't make a toes, we're being mekayim the hazama. We're affirming the hazama. It's l'chumra. The chiddush here is that it's heipach v'hitzilu. It's l'chumra. By saying that they didn't make a mistake, we're saying when they said from 6 to 11, it taka meant from 6 to 11, and therefore both edus are now edim zayim. I'm saying it's a stringent chumra. It's a chumra. It's not a kula. Saying it l'kula is not such a chiddush. It's a big chumra because that means they're edims. It means the edims. You're not going to kill, but you're going to kill the edim zayim. No. You would anyway not kill the first guy because shenis can be chamishis. Taisva said you anyway wouldn't kill the first guy. The question is, are the edim zayim now vulnerable to this punishment? So it's a serious thing. The svara is such a strong svara that you don't attribute toes to both edus. But it could be that what you're saying is a shtickle haysafa. That usually for v'hitzilu eid you would say the svara. To kill somebody, maybe you wouldn't say the svara. But since here the hefts of the edus is man, therefore we don't say that both edus made a mistake. It could be that your svara could be nitztaref, even though it's an innocent mistake. It's not a malicious mistake. But even an innocent mistake, we try to limit it. A person makes an innocent mistake. 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. Yeah, it's an interesting order. Yeah.
When Tyson is talking about, we're trying to say that it is the murderer.
Yeah. The murderer, the potential murderers, not the murderer, the defendant is going to be saved anyway. Because there's a breach in the testimony.
Already.
The question is, will the witnesses become qualified as Eidim Zaymamin? And then there's the penalty, if we say that the second set of Eidim made a mistake, and what they said 11 is really 10, we destroyed the Metzias of Azama. Because we could say the story happened in the 5th hour, the story happened 10:59, and their Imanu Yisim only went till 10. They said 11, but they were off by an hour. They were both off by an hour, and that's why they both said Imanu Yisim till 11. They're both off. And really, it happened only till they were there with them only till 10, and the story happened later. So even though we're not going to kill the first guy, the defendant, because the two Eidos are now not matching, because the 2nd hour can't work with the 5th hour, according to the mayor, it's too much of a discrepancy, right? If I say it happened at 7, yeah, and the story happened 10:30, it's a difference of 3.5 hours, or 10:59, it's a difference of 4 hours. We're not going to be mitzar of these Eidos. We're going to say, sorry. You say a story happened at 7, you said a story happened at 11. This is too much of a discrepancy. There's no Eidos there. They're contradicting each other, basically. If they're contradicting each other, we don't have two Eidos, and therefore we dismiss the case, and the guy goes innocent. But the mile is going to be that they're not called Eidim Zaymamin.
They don't get killed.
Because both of them did not get this accusation of Imanu Yisa. That's a big shaila of Tosfos. And therefore the mayor should also say that they got to say till 12, not till 11. Because till 12 we trust them, because after that the sun is in the west.
Right, no, because I was just thinking the whole time when you say saving,
We said
it
that
means the
you
murder.
cannot
It's not
expect
saving anybody. In any function.
the
Saving a human life.
Eidim.
Right. I was just thinking about the murder.
Eidim Zaymamin, you need all of them to become Mezumah. You need both of them.
On that, it seems like one can be. You can be mother one.
The Gemarah says in Saita, whenever the Chumash uses the word Eid, it means the unit. It means a unit. Eid means Kol Makam Sha'amar Eid Harekan Shnayim. Saita Dav Beis. No, Hihine Sheker Ono Ha'eid V'asisim Loi. The Loi comes to the Eid. And the reason is because in Halacha the two Eidos become a Metzias of an Eidos that's unified. It's not anymore two people. Even though it's two people, obviously, and you need two people. But when the Eidos is upheld, yeah, it's a Metzias of Eidos that is one. It becomes a Metzias of Eidos that is one.
By sight, you just need one, right? By sight, it's different. You need only one Eid.
No, ve'eid ein ba.
Even if the husband says, I saw you, that means it's okay.
No, well, you need two Eidos to be able to see that the woman hid. The woman went into a private place. But there's no Eidos on the actual intimacy. If there is, then you don't need the waters. She only drinks if she says that I'm innocent, and we don't have Eidos that anything happened. We have Eidos that something potentially happened. There was yichud, but not. We don't know what's weiter. So we have her.
So you learn it out from there that Eid means two?
So from there, the Torah says ve'eid ein ba, and the Gemarah proves in Saita that ve'eid ein ba means there's no two Eidos. It's a whole sugya there. Different psukim, al pishnayim eidim, Saita Dav Beis. So we learn out wherever it's a binyan av. The Gemarah learns out various psukim that whenever it says Eid, it means two.
This class is brought to you by the yeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.